The blockbuster fixture today is the clash between Arsenal and Chelsea, with the Gunners looking to try and solidify their position top of the league, and Chelsea looking to try and narrow down those European position spots. And familiar faces such as Kai Havertz and Jorginho will be looking to face their former club in this fixture. But the question in our discussion today is, do Chelsea have a chance? Do Chelsea have a chance against this Arsenal side? But before we look into that, we need to look at Mauricio Pochettino's press conference. And what did Pochettino say, especially with regards to team news? So Mauricio Pochettino is really having a very long injury list, with more players joining that list. The latest inclusion are Malo Gusto, who's out injured, and Cole Palmer, who's out ill. Both of them are huge doubts for today's game and most likely will not play this game. And yet these have been the two most outstanding players for Chelsea in recent times, especially Cole Palmer, who will be a huge miss. So what lineup can Mauricio Pochettino pick? That is what I'm trying to look at, and the lineup that I have decided is this lineup. And this is quite unique lineup. I believe that it is a good enough lineup to actually try and get something from this game, and hopefully players such as Mudryk can turn up against a club that really wanted to sign him. In the defensive areas, Chelsea need to be resolute, and in my preference, I would prefer Gallagher to drop slightly deeper to play alongside Caicedo, while Enzo occupies the number 10 position, looking to supply the likes of Jackson, Mudryk and Raheem Sterling. Though looking at the three attackers, you'll be very shocked where the goals can come from, because most of them are usually missing chances. But before we start our analysis, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. So Chelsea is quite an interesting club, and we're going to try and look at what Chelsea can do when they have the ball. So Chelsea will usually like to play from the back by splitting the center backs on either side of Petrovic. But you see, Arsenal are quite unique because Arsenal are one of the best teams out of possession. So what do Arsenal do? Arsenal will generally press with a very aggressive high line with a narrow 4-4-2 diamond shape, with Odegaard joining whoever plays in the number 9. But Arsenal usually leave huge spaces in behind because they have pacey centre backs such as Saliba, who can cover these spaces effectively. So what can Chelsea do in this case? So if Chelsea decide to play short, Arsenal will generally recycle the ball out towards the touchline, where they can effectively employ a touchline press, force Chelsea to go long and immediately win the possession. You can see from this clip how Arsenal are aggressively pressing Brighton high up the pitch, and this aggressive press will automatically force Brighton to play the ball forward, making Arsenal to win their balls immediately. However, Mikel Arteta recently has been found out, especially with his out of possession shape, and I'm going to teach you and explain to you how teams have exploited Arsenal. And this blueprint was actually adopted by Thomas Tuchel at Bayern Munich in the second leg, and also adapted by Wolves, Aston Villa and Brighton later on. So in the first half, you can clearly see how Brighton's centre backs are close to each other, and this closeness allows Odegaard to cover two players at the same time. He's able to cover the centre back and the central midfielder, covering two players with one player. But look at the second half. Brighton decide to employ a tactic that Liverpool employed against Arsenal, having the centre back start wide and using the goalkeeper as a third man. Now Odegaard can only press one player, and he chooses to press the holding midfielder. Here again you can see Bayern Munich. First of all, Bayern Munich were playing with their centre backs close to their goalkeeper, but now Odegaard is also finding it problematic because the spaces in between the players are so wide. Now Odegaard cannot press a forward because a midfielder will be automatically free, and Odegaard tries to press the forward, and the midfielder Lima is free to receive the ball directly. And these are some of the tactical problems that teams have started to create for Arsenal by having their centre back split wide. And now Dyer, who could not be pressed by Odegaard, is able now to position the ball face up the pitch easily. So Chelsea can employ this tactic also to try and beat Arsenal. By when Petrovic has the ball, the centre backs can spread so wide towards the full breadth of the 18-yard space to deny Arsenal that space to try and mark two players during the press. So having your two centre backs starting quite wide actually stretches the area in which these two players can look to be pressing. And now this will be problematic for Arsenal, because if they choose to press in this way, then they will be overloaded in the midfield and in the wide areas, especially if Chelsea decide to have their centre backs also starting high and wide. And this can give Petrovic the chance to play the balls in field or to try and pick players, especially the fullbacks in the wide areas, which can be very, very good for Chelsea, because now they can create that wide overload together with the centre back and the winger to try and beat Arsenal's press. Alternatively, one midfielder can drop deep in Moises Caicedo, and the other midfielder pushes high, and Chelsea decide just to go long, use Jackson as a target man, and look to effectively counter press against Jorginho or Declan Rice, win the ball, and immediately look to hit Arsenal in quick counter transition moments. That is also another way of doing it. What about when Chelsea have settled possession? Because they might have one in this game, though it will be very difficult because Arsenal will be at home. So when Chelsea have settled possession, they can really employ different tactics. Number one, because Disasi will be playing in this game, Cucurella's honors to overlap will be high, and this will give Mudryk the opportunity to play in the slightly advanced midfield position that he likes to, allowing Chelsea to have a pseudo back three with Disasi tucking alongside Thiago Silva and Trevor Chalobah, with Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo playing in close proximity in midfield, almost in a staggered system. And in this system, Chelsea's main aim will be to try and have the ball to be played towards the wide areas, especially down the right, where a winger maybe like Raheem Sterling or Noni Madueke can look to pull a fullback out of position and attempt to dribble past them. And this can be very effective for Chelsea when it comes to try and beat Arsenal. But what about Arsenal, who will most likely dominate possession in this game? So Arsenal are quite unique when building up. First of all, we need to know that Raya is not quite comfortable on the ball, and if Chelsea decide to go with an aggressive high press, they will easily be able to stop Arsenal from building from the back. Because I've told you again, unlike Manchester City and Liverpool, who have Alisson and Ederson who are excellent on the ball, Raya is not quite excellent on the ball, and if Chelsea can employ this, they can beat him. But once the ball is played to the centre backs, then Arsenal can create that box-shaped midfield with Kai Havertz dropping deep, and this will overload Chelsea in midfield, allowing Arsenal to easily play through Chelsea in case they are able to have this system. But the problem is now they will be man-to-man in the back and will rely on individual brilliance. But having wingers such as Saka and Martinelli, you would bet that they should be strong enough against any team to beat them in that scenario. Alternatively, Chelsea can try to employ what they tried to employ against Manchester City, and this is a 4-2-4 system by having four forwards who are forward but very narrow, with their front two looking to cut passing lanes, especially to Jorginho and Declan Rice, and having their team play quite narrow. Arsenal in this shape would most likely like to form that box midfield position by dropping Kai Havertz deep. But this will give Arsenal limited opportunities in the center, and sometimes if Chelsea can win the ball in this position, Chelsea will be deadly by having four players ready running at Arsenal's back four. And these players can effectively, if they beat one man, can effectively create overloads against Arsenal and look to try and destroy Arsenal in transitions. Now, alternatively, what we expect Arsenal to do is that Ben White might actually start slightly high and wide if Kiwior starts, because Kiwior is not quite an overlapping fullback or an inverting fullback per se, and when Ben White receives the ball in this position, he's not quite an excellent attacking threat, and therefore Chelsea can fancy trying to close him down, relying on their midfield to cover the likes of Bukayo Saka. As Chelsea receive the ball, they can immediately look to try and hit Arsenal in quick transitions and try to progress with the ball forward. In deeper possessions, Chelsea should sit in a solid 4-4-2 strong block, and their main work of the forwards is to cover the 2 pivot players and the 2 banks of 4 to try and solidify and narrow the spaces in behind. And this can be very effective for Chelsea, especially if and when they get a lead and it's in the final minutes, as they try to look and deny Arsenal any chance and any space on goal. As we have seen, Arsenal have really struggled to score goals in recent matches, with their main aim trying to look and beat Arsenal on the counter. So Mikel Arteta is going to face his toughest fixtures this week, facing both Chelsea and Spurs, which could be season defining for Arsenal, because if Chelsea manage to beat Arsenal tomorrow, then any hopes that Arsenal had on winning the Premier League title vanishes, while Arsenal will be looking to try and beat their 2 bitter London rivals to maintain their hope to win the Premier League. On the other hand, Mauricio Pochettino is also looking to try and end the season on a strong note after the unfortunate defeat by Manchester City at the FA Cup semi-final. Pochettino will be trying to look at least to galvanize his team to acquire even the 6th position, which is there for the taking, and allow Chelsea to play in Europe next season. If you have enjoyed this analysis, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.